Good afternoon, and welcome to our September edition of Now You Know. Some of you may be in your next chapter, or some of you may be approaching your next chapter. Our speaker today is Angela Trenton-Mbonde, and she has made the transition and will share with us her next chapter. Let me tell you a little bit about Angela. Angela has had an accomplished career spanning over 30 years with United Nations system. Most prominent was her service with the Joint United Nations program on HIV/AIDS in senior capacities in Africa, the Caribbean, Geneva, Switzerland, and New York. Her last posting was in Ghana, where she served as the UNAIDS country director. She has extensive experience in public health and the HIV response, particularly in political advocacy, high-level strategic negotiations, technical collaboration, and policy advice. She champions youth leadership and women's economic empowerment. Angela holds a master's in health services management and policy from George Washington University and studied at the Geneva School of Diplomacy and International Relations in Switzerland. So Angela, without giving more information on your bio, why the topic policy to purpose?
Okay. Thank you very much, Claire, for your introduction. I really appreciate this opportunity. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you're calling from. I'm usually in Eastern Standard Time, and now I'm in London. So let's go. So are you thinking about your next chapter, or are you in your next chapter? I'm in my next chapter. I transitioned from policy to purpose. And so for over 30 years, I traveled across the globe, serving in healthcare, public health, particularly HIV. I met with world leaders, talking about policy and HIV and advocacy and all that you heard about. I spoke with presidents, prime ministers, community leaders, young people, people living with HIV. When I retired in April 2022, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I had run the race, finished the course. But as I stepped away from crafting policy and building programs that reach millions, I thought about, what am I going to do for the rest of my life that would add more continued meaning and purpose? I thought about my passion for working with young people and women and girls in vulnerable situations. And I recall, particularly with sex workers, when I would meet with sex workers and we talk about prevention of HIV, prevention of sexually transmitted infections, how to deal with violence against sex workers, probably the need to decriminalize sex work. You know, a few women would pull me aside, you know, very quietly, and ask me, can you find something else for me to do? I'm tired. I still need to look after my children, but I don't want to continue with sex work. And, you know, that made a deep impression on me. I wanted to help these women. And I tried before I retired, but I didn't have the opportunity and the mandate to really look at alternative livelihoods for sex workers who wanted to quit. So now I had the opportunity to do so. And you see, I saw it as moving more to purpose, like what is my purpose? What I want to do for the rest of my life. What I did before, yes, it was focused on people. My work was always people centered, particularly working on HIV. But now at this stage where I didn't have a boss, and I could listen and respond directly to what these women wanted me to do for them. And for me, that gave me a lot more purpose in my life. And this is how I see what I'm doing now as being a transition from policy to purpose.
Okay, Angela, can you give us some specifics on what you have been doing and in that area?
Okay, so I decided that I was going to establish a nonprofit, New Dawn, which would be a grassroots organization to support women who were overlooked by systems, particularly those engaged in sex work or exchanging sex for survival. And they wanted to quit. And I started in Ghana because I spent a few years, well, a few months actually, in Ghana before going back to Guyana. So I hired a coach to help me transition into this next chapter, and she helped me develop a vision and a mission for New Dawn. And this is very important. It's important to know what is it that you want to achieve. You know, how do you see success? And if you look at my vision that is there on the screen, it talks about engaging, inspiring, and connecting women and girls in vulnerable situations in Africa and Caribbean. So I'm thinking big, and helping to generate hope and excellence in their lives. Then the mission is now, so I have this vision. How am I going to accomplish it? What is going to be the mission? And starting alone or with a few people, I needed to have partners. So my mission is then to partner with youth-led organization and women organization that are also seeking to empower women and girls, and working on mentorship, on economic empowerment, in health and well-being of the women. So I started in Ghana, and I want to move to Guyana as well. So New Dawn is building connections within and across countries to execute the activities and services that we want to provide. So I can give you a little bit more information on how I gathered the information to develop the program. So I had a focus group discussion with about 5 women, and they told me about their pains, their hopes, um, what concerns them. For example, some of them were concerned that their children now will get into sex work, and they didn't want that for their children. They told me about what makes them laugh, what kind of support that they have. So if we were to develop a program, what can we build on? So the first project was called Dare to Live Your Dream. And you could see on the screen a photo of that. That uh, that was actually taken after a workshop that we had. So the program was developing a behavior change workshop for the women, for the sex workers. It was like a day program that focused on the self-worth and value in the eyes of God, and about dreaming, using the imagination. And I handled these 2 topics. And then I had a psychologist that talked about self-care, that talked about, she talked about dealing with trauma and mental health issues, because from the focus group discussion, I discovered the trauma some of the women were dealing with, sexually abused, sometimes by a stepfather, or being thrown out of the house. Lots of horrific things, they have had to deal with. So, um, so I also had a business strategist who talked about how to become a successful entrepreneur. So the training was followed by a 1 year training attachment to specific projects, at which the women indicated their interests. For example, a project involving recycling of plastics to make jewelry, to make handbags, to make slippers. And I had volunteers trained. I developed I hired a professional business strategist to design a communications training program for volunteers. They learned about how to coach the women, how to cheerlead them, how to refer them for services that they might need, services that were not provided by New Dawn, how to speak with them in a non-judgmental manner, um, how to think about their own biases that they might have. And one thing that I think the volunteers appreciated is this approach of asking permission. Like, you want to give some critical um, feedback, constructive criticism, to say, do I have your permission to give you some honest feedback on, something that you did, and getting that permission. Um, so if this was something tough, I think the woman felt that at least I was asked permission to listen and to hear. I developed a resource guide which lists a lot of services that were being provided by the government of Ghana and non-governmental organizations who were providing services to the community. And the volunteers could use this guide when they when they need to provide services that are not being provided by New Dawn, when the women need these services. So I trained 20 volunteers. They were mostly young people, young medical professionals, young people involved in social work. Some of them had just graduated from the university and doing their national service. So they were not all working. So they themselves had needs, but they were willing to volunteer and to give back. So the volunteers worked in various areas. Some of them worked in administration, helping me with secretarial work, with finance, with documenting stories, taking photographs, while others were paired with the women, a male and a female, to the 9 sex workers that I was working with.
So Angela, let me ask you a question. So what I heard, the first thing you talked about is having a coach as you transition, having that coach. But you also talked, I hear a lot about relationships, partnerships, volunteers. So how is the process working in getting the women to change their mindset and to have a different view of themselves? How is that all working together?
Okay, so I think the training that I gave them, in terms of, first of all, valuing themselves and understanding that they are valued in the eyes of God, right? I had an exercise where I took the Ghanaian currency, the CD. So it was a 200 CD note that was very nice, pristine. Like the bank notes when they're very new. We like to hold on to them. So I took it. I took one of those and I said, "You see this? What's the value? 200." And I took it and I put a lot of dust on it and so on. And I held it up and I said, "So what is the value of this? You see how dirty it is? What is the value? The value is the same." So I told them, look, when you mess up, you still have that same value in the eyes of God, but this can be cleaned up, right? So that was part of the process of, first of all, seeing that I am valued. I even use the parable of the lost sheep, of how Jesus told this parable of how the shepherd went after the one, left the 99 and went after the one. So I said, if you are feeling that lost sheep, this is how much you are loved and valued by God, and He wants to bring you back and make you whole. So beginning that process of them thinking about themselves differently, and so that was part of that process. But I think even the fact that I took the time out to listen to their stories. For example, to be on the program, they had to send me a video, just a few seconds, not more than a minute, of what they're going through, their desire to quit sex work and what they want to do, what their dreams were. So there was somebody listening to them and then taking action. So I had a focus group with discussion with them. And then I followed up, with having a program. And then I followed up with giving them the opportunity to get new training. And I followed them up on WhatsApp. I have many of them I have on WhatsApp, and would be in contact with them, just encouraging them. So, and I think the training by the volunteers really helped, because the volunteers were supposed to contact them, quite frequently, find out what they're doing, what are their needs, and coach them, encourage them, say, wow, this is great what you've done. You've made this progress. You need additional help on, you have this medical condition. This is where you can go for help. You need to get a national insurance card. Just giving that kind of support, which they don't usually get, because as you know, sex workers are stigmatized, discriminated against. They hide. Many of them, well, not many of them, all of them would not like their family to know what they're doing. So I think just giving them attention and giving them that concrete sort of orientation was the beginning of a process of changing their behavior.
So I definitely see this as a change, you being a change maker in the lives of these women. So did you start working on this while you were still working with the United Nations, or is this something you started? How did you start building the networks that you have, that you're using with those women?
Well, I built the networks while I was with UNAIDS, because the sex workers, they were part of my constituencies. And I met with them, from time to time, but just the was mostly talking about prevention, like I said, prevention of sexually transmitted infections, and about listening to their stories about how they were mistreated, and then having programs with the police, and law enforcement officers or with the legal assistance on how to help the women. So they already knew that I cared about them, right? And I had a relationship with them. You know, there were many activities in which I met them, like World AIDS Day and so on, where I would be speaking to them. So I had a definite direct um, channel, direct communications with some of them, and they knew me, and they knew that I had retired, and yet wanted to meet with them and wanted to invest in them. So that built trust, you know, that helped to build a relationship with them. You know, for example, they send me messages on Mother's Day. You know, that's the kind of relationship that I have with these ladies.
Great
But
job.
I did not work on alternative livelihoods because that was not part of my mandate.
Okay. So I'm thinking, sitting here listening, and you have definitely done a lot, especially being in a different country and still running this program. But I want to inform everyone, this is not the only part of her chapter. She has another chapter. So, um, Angela, would you like to tell us a little more? Switch gears a little bit and tell us about this chapter.
Yes. Okay. So after stepping away from crafting policy and with world leaders and, you know, building programs and so on, I wanted to do something that was fun. So I returned to my youth hobby in the creative arts. You know, if you went to St. Rose's, you know that we did needlework at St. Rose's, and I love needlework. And I also did macrame. I did tie-dye boutique, and sorry, I did tie-dye and batik, not boutique, batik. And I sewed as a hobby. My mother had a sewing machine. And so I established my own fashion line, and you can see it on the screen, High Fashion with a Conscience. And I had someone help me develop a business plan. So you might ask, why High Fashion with a Conscience? So high fashion because it's a multicultural brand, a fusion of African, Asian, Caribbean, and Western styles and techniques, and very innovative. It's using uh, natural fibers fabric, so cotton, linen, silk, and usually one of a kind. And as you can see, I'm wearing batik here, a dress, a shirt dress. Um, Another aspect is the jewelry. So you can see this jewelry is made from recycled glass, actually, in Ghana. And so that's the aspect of high fashion, one of a kind. And then it has a conscience. It has a conscience because I am sourcing the material from local communities in Ghana, in Tanzania, in India, in Guyana. So I'm helping local artisans. I'm helping to sustain the culture, like Kente in Ghana, and some places they're not getting the patronage or the sales. So I'm helping to promote that. And you know, in Guyana we have the Amerindians and they're weaving. And since I'm back, I'm trying to see how I can incorporate that. In India, there is block art that is put on fabric, and I have some pieces of that. So, and then I am also supporting some of the very women um, who I'm serving in New Dawn. And so like this particular piece here came from one of the a group with sex workers. And the other aspect of having a conscience is that I'm actually giving back a proportion of the profits I make from Angela Dawn to New Dawn. And in fact, last year, September, I went to the group. The group actually made this piece, and I gave them money that I had gathered. First of all, I had for my birthday last year, I had a GoFundMe. I raised some money, and then I matched that amount with the profits, a percentage of the profits from Angela Dawn, and I presented to them. I have a short video. I don't know if you want to show that, Claire, but just to see me there with the women, and they were very, very happy to receive this. So this is my high fashion with a conscience.
Okay, let me see. I have to look for the video. I have my own.
Okay, that's okay. That's the last one with the women holding up
Oh, wait a minute.
the
But
envelope
that was
that I gave them. But thanks to all those who supported my GoFundMe, so you can see that I used that money well. I matched it.
so. If someone is trying to, well, before I get to this, let me ask you another question. So it seems as though with everything that you're doing, for me, it sounds like Serviam all over. You know, what was ingrained in us, it's in Roses, was this whole thing
Yes.
around Serviam, and you're serving the women, and you have a fashion line that's fun, but you're also giving back. So now that you're back in Guyana, you have that online presence with Angela Dawn, and you also have the nonprofit. What are your plans for your next chapter in Guyana, now that you're in Guyana?
Okay, for Guyana. Well, first of all, with the project in Ghana, I want to expand. I want to get some more women involved. There are some specific things that I have to do there. I have actually a co-director, so that as I maybe focus more in Guyana, I can still follow up what is happening in Ghana, because I have a team there. Now, in Guyana, and now we're post-elections, so we can settle down and actually start to do something else, do the work. And so I want to actually work on recycling paper and cardboard, and making products out of that. I think this will be great for Guyana, because we don't have anything like that happening right now. It's great for the environment, and also it creates jobs. It will help to create jobs for women and girls in vulnerable situations, and it could help with the migrants, because they are also looking for things to do. And you know I spoke with some of my alumina sisters in Guyana, and they were encouraging me to actually incorporate the women migrants into this, because some of them are going into maybe prostitution or sex work, even though sex work is kind of legal in Guyana, I'm told. But I think it will be good for the government as well to show how they are creating jobs for migrants, and of course, for the focus will be on our own population. But Guyana is changing, so this is something that I hope that I will get my colleagues from the diaspora to join me. If you want to help with doing something in Guyana.
So Angela, we had some conversations prior to, and you were saying that you invested your own money into this project. So how can we, if someone's interested in helping, what are some of the ways, can you talk through what some of the things that they can do to assist?
Yeah, and that's true that, in the beginning, I invested my money because I feel that it was worth, that kind of investment, and that if I start and I achieve something that potential donors will see that I'm serious and that it's actually possible to to get change and to achieve a lot. So I have a budget of around $25,000. And one way that you can support this is now with New Dawn is sponsoring, getting a sponsoring level like bronze or silver or gold partner. So $500, $1,000, $2,500, but actually any amount from $500. And with that, you could have the opportunity of being acknowledged on the website or in programs, the opportunity of speaking with the women at events. It's all laid out there. That's one thing you can do. You can also sponsor a woman who has needs, and I have a slide with that, with some of the information that I've gathered so far. There'll be additional women who have other needs, so you can sponsor a woman, or you can also schedule a meeting with me, online meeting or in person, depending on where you are, to discuss partnership opportunities, any skill that you want to give, help with marketing, um, or join the team. I'm looking for uh, more people to be part of the team as I expand. So both in Ghana, but with this new initiative that I will start in Guyana. I will have a Guyana chapter of New Dawn, because right now New Dawn is registered in Ghana. So I will register New Dawn also in Guyana with a team of people. So anyone wishing to join, I will be very happy, and you're welcome. So that's how you can be a part. And then of course for the business, Angela Dawn, you can buy and you can promote, through the website, and knowing that as you wear Angela Dawn, you are wearing clothes that fit well, because there's a possibility of customized. I will have AI measurements, but also because it's natural, we're using natural fabrics to feel good on your skin. Also, you're making a statement of the values you have of sustainability, of supporting local artisans, of women who are in vulnerable situations. So every piece that you see here would represent a woman of resilience and of courage.
There's a question in the chat. Is the sponsorship amount an annual amount?
Yes, so that would be, yes, for 1 year. That would be for 1 year.
Any other questions? Angela, really want to thank you for taking the time to share this with us. I think it's real important for us to hear, because a lot of people are in that. They're either there already or they're thinking about it. And sometimes it's like there's this idea and not knowing how to fully execute. And the whole, what you mentioned about a coach, I think that is so important, because I think some people think that they don't necessarily need a coach. But can you just quickly just add the benefits of having that coach and having that person to help you write that business plan?
Yes, it's very important because when it's like you're going through a change, you're going through change, and you need help to navigate the change. You need to put your thoughts together in a systematic way. And there are key things that you need. You need to have what is clearly a clear vision and a clear mission. And the coach helped me to do this. And in a really scientific way, and when you go, I can give you a little hint on like understanding which words appeal to you, like inspire, inspire, engage. And that's how I came up. Hope is something I value, excellence. And based on what is important to you, you can form your vision, right? There's a whole exercise. And similarly for the mission. So that is very important. And also to give you encouragement, to cheer you on. This coach can do that to you because there are so many options and you need to narrow it down and to focus. And then of course the business plan. Um, that person who helped me, that consultant, really did a lot of research, like to find out like what is going to be your niche, what's your market niche, who else is doing something like this, and how could you distinguish yourself? What is your, and on the money side, what's your projection over the next 5 years? And I needed that. I didn't know I needed that when I went to open a bank account for the business. I had to show what was my projection. I also, the coach also helped me in developing a logo. You have to have a logo, and what will your logo be? So there's so many things that we might take for granted, that having a coach, and of course I've been used to having a coach with my job. That this is just essential. I remember in the past people thought that when you had a coach it's because you had a problem, but it's not. It's about, everybody has a coach. Michael Jordan has a coach. So people have coaches. So yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Angela. Any last words that you want to share with the group before we open it up for questions? Oh, I want to mention that we have a note in the chat. So Raymond said that he had the pleasure of seeing Angela's fashion collection, and high fashion indeed. And he would recommend anyone in Guyana to view her selection or check out the website. And the website address is www. Angela, Angela Dawn, make sure. I want to make sure I have the right. Give me 1 second. Or if you have it right there. Okay, here it is. It's angeladawn.com. That's ANGELADAWNE.com. And when you go to that website, you can see her collections. And the neat thing about the collection that I really like, Angela, is that those items are, in addition to being sustainable, they're one of a kind. So if you go
Yes.
someplace, you're not going to see somebody with your outfit on.
Right. Yeah. Great. So yeah. So I would like to leave like three tips, take home. If you're going into your next chapter based on my story, first of all, identify your passion, because the passion will help to drive you when you meet any challenges, and you will do what you want to do with fun and ease. There should be this fun aspect to it and ease because you have passion for it. And then using your networks, the partnerships that you already have, and that you could see clearly that this is what I did. You don't have to go it alone, right? You will get a head start if you build on your past achievements. And then link your chapter to your God-given purpose, having a sense of sort of a divine purpose in what you're doing, that you want to better the lives of others. So what light you have inside of you, let it shine, let it shine in the venture that you choose to devote your time and efforts. I think that will bring success.
Thank you very much, Angela. Any questions for Angela? No questions? Any comments on anyone who is going through that next chapter that may have a question for Angela? Okay. If there are no questions, again, thank you, Angela, for this presentation.
Good
May I-
afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrea. Can you repeat her contact information for me, please?
Yes, it's.
Or I'll put it in the chat.
Let me post it. Let me go back to the screen so you can see it.
Okay, thank you.
Can you see it? Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. So there's a survey that I am going to drop in the chat.
Have you found it, Desiree?
Yeah, I think I have.
Okay.
We would appreciate if everyone take just a few minutes to respond to the survey. It's very important for us. Okay, I just sent it.
Okay.
It's an anonymous survey, and we just want to know what we can do to improve these sessions. So if you take a few minutes just to respond, would be grateful. Angela, this was a very informative session, and it makes me starting to think about what my next plans would be, my purpose. And I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure the rest of the audience also did. So my next step is just to have that plan. Like you mentioned, it all starts with a vision. And once I have that vision, I have to start, working to execute that vision. So thank you.
Yes, great. And I want to say that another aspect of my vision would be to see us in the next chapter coming together and supporting each other in really living a life of new purpose, and getting the support that we need, because the next chapter is an exciting time, I think, living our best lives.
Yeah, Angela, I just wanted to commend you because I was there with you when I heard so many plans, so many aspects of this journey that you had shared with me, and I'm very proud to see it come to fruition and to see how it has grown. I'm very proud of you. So I just want to say that you're very inspiring. And, I just want to wish you all the very best in your venture. I can't wait to see Angela. And I love your names. I love the Angela Dawn because, I just love the play on words, the positivity, the dawning of a new day, the everything that new hope, new dawn. I love it. And
Yes.
I just wish you all the very best, Angela, and everything that you do. And I will do my best to support you in your venture.